When you clicked on this video, you probably thought I was going to talk about Link's crossbow training or maybe even Tingle's Rosy Rupee Land. But there's another Zelda game even more obscure than anything you can think of, and it's only going to be available until March 2023. I am, of course, talking about My Nintendo Picross: The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. Very catchy title, I know. Exclusive to My Nintendo, it costs 1,000 platinum points, which can be earned by letting Fire Emblem Heroes play itself or by randomly clicking on Nintendo game websites. While there's no official end date for Zelda Picross listed on the website, with the 3DS eShop closing down in March 2023 and taking download code redemption with it, that's likely when it will disappear. However, My Nintendo did end discount codes for 3DS games without any warning last year, so if you want this forgotten Zelda game, go and get it right now. As for the game itself, it's Picross. When you jump in, Midna takes you through a tutorial teaching you the basics. I'm not going to explain the rules of Rick Ross because I'm not entirely sure I understand them myself. Basically, it's like Sudoku except there's only one grid instead of many smaller ones, and you use the puzzle to reveal an image. At least for the tutorial, none of the pictures had much to do with Zelda. The final one is an apple, not exactly what you think of when you think Zelda. This does change when you enter the main beef of the game though. The first puzzle is a bomb and the second is a bottle. I won't spoil the rest since knowing what they are might help you in completing the puzzles. Now, a lot of critical thinking is required in Pickaxe, and when I try to do that my brain hurts. By the time I got to the fourth tutorial puzzle, I was out of my depth. I'm not a complete idiot though. I did finish all of the Sudoku puzzles in Brain Age on easy, but after taking a few deep breaths into a paper bag and listening to Let It Go on repeat for 3 hours, I returned with a renewed sense of hope. Since this is the first time I've really dug into a Picross game, I can't speak to the true challenge of Zelda Picross for puzzle veterans. All I can really say is that there's 45 puzzles, an optional roulette wheel at the beginning makes life so much easier by filling in 2 rows, and you're timed on how quickly you clear the puzzles. You can also toggle answer auto check on, but if you get a square wrong, you incur a time penalty. Go over 60 minutes and you won't see the completed puzzle in color. It's a great risk-reward system they have and discourages too much cheating. Unfortunately, there's not a whole lot I can review here. It's literally just Picross with a Zelda skin. The added benefits are Zelda music and imagery throughout. Midna does talk during the tutorial and after puzzles. When you fill in squares, it's like you're cutting grass, and surprisingly, there is a 3D effect that I never used. 45 puzzles might seem small, but it was more than enough for me given the price. Now, while it might seem like everything is rosy, there are a few issues. Sure, the first 15 puzzles are great. The 10x10 grid is the perfect size for the 3DS's bottom screen, and they offer up just the right amount of challenge. But then you get to the next group of puzzles and the grid expands to 15x15. On a regular 3DS, you practically need a magnifying glass. Since there's no zoom feature, the odds of making unintentional mistakes skyrockets. So, while I was enjoying the first third of the game, that enjoyment took a nosedive when I couldn't, see what was going on. Obviously, this will be less of an issue for people with an XL model, but my experience was still negatively impacted. Thanks to the magic of a capture card though, I was able to look at the board on a monitor, which helped alleviate my need for a zoom function. All I can say is, if you have an original 3DS or a 2DS, you'll enjoy the 10x10 puzzles, while the other ones might make your eyes hurt. In fact, the 5 20x15 puzzles are so big that the icons shift around on screen to accommodate them. However, despite my initial hesitations with Picross and the screen issues, I did get hooked. There's a reason Pie Crust is so popular. The core concept is addicting. Throw a Zelda theme on there and it adds that extra layer of enjoyment, and when I solved a particularly tough puzzle, I audibly cheered. Regular Picross isn't the only thing you'll find here. The next thing I want to touch on is Mega Picross. This is regular Picross on steroids. Midna tried explaining the rules to me, but I went cross-eyed and blacked out, so I never attempted it. My brain can barely handle normal mode. Hard mode Pikachu sounds like torture, and that's not the kind of torture I like, so I steered clear. According to the internet though, the puzzle answers are the exact same as normal Picross, so they aren't entirely new. And finally, we have Micross, essentially the boss of the game. It features an 80x80 grid, but it's split into several smaller puzzles. I ran out of patience after one full row of the mega puzzle, and Midna says you don't have to worry about going over the 60-minute limit, so I'm guessing this will take a long time to complete. That's good news if you have patience, and bad news if you don't. Still, it's a great way to cap off a game I quite enjoyed. Even with my gripes about the game, it's free. If you want to play Picross on 3DS, this is a great option. I did find the playspace a little small, especially on my original 3DS, resulting in some accidental fill-ins and time penalties. But if you're a Zelda fan who wants to boast that you've played every game ever made and this isn't in your collection, are you even a true fan? Now, I know what you're thinking. Topless Link doesn't have anything on Topless Mario. Well, I've got some great news for you. There's another free game you should get on My Nintendo before it's gone, Flipnote Studio 3D. A measly 200 platinum points, which you can earn in your sleep. Flipnote Studio 3D is less a game and more an application. As the name suggests, it's a studio for you to create flip notes. I've never been an artsy type of person, so I only managed to build the flip note you see on screen. Every other flip note you see in this video is given to you by the game, which can be edited however you like. Some of those free flip notes offer tutorials, while others show you what is possible in the app. I honestly have nothing much else to say about Flipnote Studio 3D in terms of a review, because I could have played it for 10 hours and my skills wouldn't improve. That's just how bad I am at anything artsy. From what I saw though, the options and tools are plentiful, allowing you to add background music and sound effects. Everything is presented somewhat reasonably for new people, and you can easily save and share your flip notes locally. While there's an option to download DSi flip notes in the main menu, the service has been discontinued and you can't do that anymore. This means you have to be near the person you want to send flip notes to. You can put a custom firmware on your 3DS and share flip notes through the internet though. I didn't, it's just an option. Otherwise, you'll have to use an SD card to export your creations to your computer. So that's it. If you've never used My Nintendo before, go to the website, complete some missions, and download Zelda Picross and Flipnote Studio 3D before they're gone forever. Sure, each game has its issues, but it costs nothing to get yourself 2 pieces of gaming history. Then, after March 2023, you can lord over people who didn't watch this video and who missed out.